Okay, this is step 7, and first thing I want to tell you is that these screws here, MA5s, I could not find, there's supposed to be 8, and I was hoping to find all 8 in one bag, and for the life of me, I could not. I found 5 in this bag, and 5 in that bag. So I've got 10. I'm sure I'll need some down the road, but right now, 8. This MB13 would have been nice, like I said many times. That was in this bag, so I was like, oh, well, maybe they did organize everything and put all the MA5s in that bag. I wish somebody from Tamiya would explain this logic, because I spend so much time looking through these bags trying to find the screws and the nuts and the bolts, and maybe there's something I'm not understanding about how these bags are organized, because the plastics are all organized just fine like any other model kit. But I seem to go through this every time I build one of these cars, where I keep looking around for parts, and I spend a lot of time looking before I get everything I need. So anyway, enough complaining. You can tell I'm not a paid spokesperson. If you're watching on YouTube wondering if I'm making money off this from Tamiya, no way. But I do love their cars. At least somebody is making them, right? So this is really pretty straightforward. We just got to screw all of this together to make a giant box. I guess what I'm going to do first is put this MB13, this ball nut and bolt, in, and that will go in with a wrench. So I'll use this little wrench tool and just screw this in good and firmly, and get that done. I don't know what part of the world you are in, but I can tell you there's a gentleman that I believe is Italian who builds this model as well, pretty much from start to finish, several videos. And I enjoyed watching his videos a while back. I think he was the reason why I even bought the kit. I watched it watched them last year, saw some of the cool things he was doing, and thought I'd find this model. Unlike my LaFerrari, which I bought maybe 10 or 12 years ago, this one I bought recently. I bought it this year in 2025, and you know, this is an extinct model kit as well. So let's just start putting these guys in, which I'm, gonna dread doing 8 of these screws, because I'm good at complaining about my wrists. Let's see how bad they are. They start out relatively okay. They just get progressively harder as you dig into the plastic, because these are self-tappers. Tap that in. I have this little power driver. I should test it out and see if it's got enough torque to actually be useful. The little AA battery screwdriver that came with a kit that I bought a while back, but I never think of using it. I just can't imagine the little thing has got a motor powerful enough to drive in the self-tapping screws into this plastic, because this is really, really difficult. And you can't you know, I probably need a vise to hold some of this stuff so you could get it in with a little more control. This screwdriver seems to be the most helpful of the ones I've selected out of my toolbox. These are just regular old screwdrivers that I would use on my car, my real car. But this one just seems to have the right bite for these screws. And let's just hope to God I build this right the first time, because I don't want to take it apart. Every time you think you get these things tight enough, you realize you can make them tighter. This C4, this is all one tree. This is the C group of parts, and there's nothing else on this tree but these four pieces. So we'll be done with the C's. There's one little part on the B tree. We use the B tree to build the earlier steps, steps 2 and 3. So don't get rid of that B tree. There is a part on it that you will need at some point. I don't know which step it's in, but it's there. And it's a small part, so keep everything. Keep everything anyway. I don't throw out anything. I have probably every plastic tree from every model I've ever built. I'm just a hoarder, I guess. That's what my wife would tell you for sure. I visited my mom and brother early last week. Went in the basement where I built a lot of my models, and my Tamiya boxes from my Tyrrell, my Matra MS11, my Tyrrell 007, my 6-wheel Tyrrell, my Lotus 72, they're all there. And they are old boxes. They're the original from the first issue. They're not the ones with all the photo etched parts and all that stuff. They are the original releases of those models. I bought them as soon as they came out when I was a kid. I don't know how I could afford them. But I worked as a teenager, so that's how I afforded them. Oh. I'm going to cut for a minute, and I'll be right back. Sorry for the interruption. I had to leave abruptly because I got called into a work meeting, believe it or not. And I came back on camera to tell you that you got to be careful when you assemble this piece. It's not uniform or perfectly symmetrical, particularly this piece, which looks like it would go any way and fit fine. But this side has a little tab. Forgive my focusing. See that little tab right there? You got to make sure that that corresponds to this piece. And I overlooked that when I built this, and I was wondering why I couldn't possibly square this off. And looked more closely at the diagram and saw, yes, there's a little nib there. So when you build this now, it should be correct. It's funny because you would think it would go into this slot, but it doesn't. You look closely at the diagram and you see that is oriented correctly. So just these are the little gotchas that, if you build models and you're in a hurry or you're half paying attention, you can end up building something totally wrong and not figure out why it's totally wrong for quite some time. So watch your step with that sort of thing. I'll go ahead and screw these last few pieces in, and then I'll shut the camera down and set up for step 8, which we can build. It looks like we can build 8 and 9. Looks like it's possible to build as well. So that's good. Keep us moving. There is a lot that we can get done without having our radio kit available. So that makes me somewhat happy. And I really want to get this built because I want to know what's next with this body, if anything. You know, where I'm going to settle with it being finished. I want to see, after, you know, putting almost 20 days into this paint job on and off, what it's really going to finalize into before I end up going back to work. Because I know once I go back to work, this is going to get shelved for God knows how long. And so I would like to not shelve it. I'd like it to be a finished product. And I have a feeling if you've watched any of these videos, you might want to see it finished too and see how I got there. But right now, it's the little things that we're building. The good thing about these kits is there's not much gluing, if any, that you have to do. Even they rely on double-sided tape a lot and things like that. The Italian gentleman, if you watch his video, he'll show you how to mount the body using magnets, which if you search for Porsche 956, you'll come across his videos too. And I like what he does. I just don't know that I'm going to do that. I'm going to probably do some sort of Velcro tape thing, but I'll have to see how this body fits first before I make that commitment. All right, so there's that piece. It is square. I think it's built correctly. And I'm going to set up for step 8, and then I'll come back on camera once I've got all the pieces and parts ready to go.